Okay, so let's start. At the very beginning, I'd like to thank to Work and Science and Jarek Olszewski, who is not here. But every time we cooperate, he ensures me that every idea becomes a plan, and from there is all downhill. So thank you again. I'm very honored to be here with such a distinguished guest and audience. I start with a little bit introduction for the topic of this discussion panel for career paths for young researchers from academia to industry. The strength and beauty are the assets of youth. These are, of course, not my words, but Seneca's from ancient ages. But we are wondering what chances do young researchers have at the beginning of their career paths. Are these paths long and windy, like in the Beatles song, or just wide and with no limits, like in Highway to Hell songs, AC/DC songs? So we are just wondering, because the minds of young people are open, much more flexible. Young people rather tend to see the opportunities and challenges than the threats. But on the other hand, young researchers operate with a very specific environment. I mean the academic environment, which was shaped at the beginning of the century. So young researchers have to manage with rigid academic rules and often judgment from the older colleagues. So we have enthusiasm versus rigid rules, often youth versus experience. So these are the dilemmas we want to discuss during our panel. So please welcome our guest. As first, I invite, I'm looking on the audience, Jarosław Protasiewicz, the director of the National Information Processing Institute. In Polish, it's known as OPI, and it's much easier name. So please let me use OPI, okay? Okay, thank you. Jarosław Protasiewicz is an experienced lecturer and researcher. Next, Olga Witkowska-Piłasiewicz, the chairwoman of Young Scientist Council. Olga is a very respected researcher in the fields of animal health and biotechnology. Our next guest is Szymon Łakomy. Szymon Łakomy is a chairman of the Forum of Technical Universities. He represents the interest of technical university students. Our next guest is Paweł Wójcik, the president of the Strategic Scientific Circle of the Wrocław University of Science and Technology, PWR Racing Team. Maciej Bartosiewicz, biologist and biochemist, graduated from the University of Warsaw and also a laureate at the prestigious program Pacific. And Piotr Łazarek, a founder and the CEO of NIRBI, Innovative Technology Company. Okay, so let me join you on the stage. At the beginning, I'd like to ensure you to refer to one another during the discussion, because it will be much more interesting, I think. And the opening question is for Olga. Olga, what are the main needs and challenges for young researchers in Poland? I mean, especially in the terms of visibility and support of the international stage.
At the beginning, I would like to tell you that I'm delighted to have this opportunity to discuss with you these topics. So you are asking about the challenges for young researchers. So some of them, they are unique for young researchers, some of them, they are universal for researchers at all. So I will start with funding. A lot of us struggle to get the grants, to get the projects. And sometimes it's really hard to start some research or to continue the research if there's no funding at all. Another thing is networking and visibility. Because if you want to be visible at the international societies, international collaboration, etc., you need to attend conferences, some networking cooperations with research institutes, especially this from abroad. And sometimes, once again, there's no funding, no traveling grants, no money for attendances at the conferences. And it's really important for young ones. Why? Because we are inexperienced. So we want to meet as many more experienced scientists to increase our knowledge, but also our contacts and networking. And the third thing, which is also really important, is mentoring. Especially the international programs with international researchers, international specialists with high-level quality, because still it's limited for us. And of course, work balancing, because we are very often the mothers, the fathers, so it also influences on the traveling, on some time at working. So I think that's it.
Okay, you mentioned about the importance of mobility, international mobility. So the second question is for Maciej. Maciej, how important are researchers' mobility and international collaboration for the development of international projects, like for example, your project in Arctica?
So of course, for me, I traveled quite a lot during my scientific career. I traveled from Poland to Canada, then to Switzerland and Australia, and back to Poland, and in between several other countries. So I did a tour of different research institutions, let's say, and this helped me a lot to not only look towards the research needs of different people, or develop my own research portfolio, but also to kind of learn how you can approach science or research differently. And this also showed me how different people, senior scientists globally, approach different topics. And particularly for the climate science, it's a relatively hot topic these days, that everybody, or a lot of fields, move toward the understanding of how climate change affects us all and affects the environment. But then globally, if you look toward the scientists and how they need to kind of struggle between the research needs and the funding needs, as it was said before, also to fund their own PhD students or master students, to provide them with the guidance, but also to show them how to properly manage the research ethics. For example, in Canada, when I was in Canada, this may be interesting also for young people this was a validation when I've seen that senior researchers that work in the Arctic had to very closely collaborate with oil and gas industry that were polluting the Arctic. And then sometimes the money flow was that from the oil and gas companies into the research, but it had to be very delicate contact, so that there's obviously fundamental research needs funds, but it also needs high ethics standards. So taking the research from the companies that pollute is obviously good for the researchers, because you can kind of play around with your research, but also you need to maintain that your research does not provide the support for the polluting industry. And this basically was shown to me by my mentors, and the mobility that I had helped me to realize that between what we want to find out as researchers and between what the policies or the industry the needs are sometimes not convergent, and we need to kind of learn how to operate our own field within these boundaries.
Okay, but in your opinion, how to find this balance?
That comes, I think, with experience, and the more experienced scientists, especially the high-level professionals you meet, the more you learn how to operate in these. And it cannot be, there's no books that would teach you. You need to see how people operate between themselves, and this is what comes with mobility. Because in Poland there's a certain dynamic, but also other countries have different dynamics. So only moving between these different countries you can actually appreciate these connections between people and the high-level connection.
Yeah, it's a very difficult question to just find the balance between such ethics and commercial questions. So thank you for your answer. Olga told about meanings of the support also. Yeah, so next question is for Szymon. Szymon, you have a lot of experience in support from students' organizations. So what key initiatives of the Technical University Forum can actually support development of students' career, and which initiatives can prepare them into a market, not just on this theoretical, but real preparation for the market?
At the beginning, I would like to thank you for the invitation to the panel, and we are very glad to be here as a Students' Union of Polish Universities of Technology. So, answering your question, the main object and the main keys we have to the students is to support the local students' union, because they have the direct impact on the universities, and also the possibilities that students have in their schools, and so that's the most important. We are doing this by many training sessions, with conferences, with our summer camp, when we train hundreds of students during the year. We also have the industry guide that we share on our social media, which we share with local students' union, where we talk about some conferences, congresses, and possibilities for students to move around the whole country to show their value and things they do during their studies. We also have two projects. First one is the competition between the scientific circles, which is called COCOM, and every year we get a lot of reports from scientific circles that are very, very, very impressive. This year we had 80 of them, and it was very, very hard to choose the best ones. So we are doing this to promote the students' activities and to show that the young scientific researchers can do very important and innovative things. The second project is the naukową conference, which we do with our friends from doctoral studies, and we teach young researchers in the two paths, the scientists and the entrepreneur. So we talk about such things like transforming students' projects into startups, about publishing, about getting some grants and money for their projects. We are also in talks with the State Labor Committee, because we want to make some trainings for students about the laws on the market and what's important to look for them when getting a job or even by the students or other people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And let's continue this topic with scientific circles. We have a real professional. So, Paweł, what opportunities do you see for developing cooperation between student circle, because you are a president of really crucial student circles. And so, what about the cooperation between this academic world and the business or industry?
At the beginning, thank you very much for the invitation. As we are the scientific club which builds the race car, we need a huge amount of all resources, which includes the time, the people, and the funds. And so going to the funds and the possibilities of manufacturing and the other processes, we have to cooperate with many companies, like the manufacturing ones. So going to the possibilities of improving that. Always the companies which we are cooperating with, they are learning many things because they are creating some simple ones, simple parts, which is kinda to be not expensive ones. They are so simple, and then we are sending the expensive ones, the more complex, and they are wondering, wow, how to build it, how to manufacture it, how to write the program to manufacture that. So that's the first example. The next ones, we are also inviting them to our garages to show the processes of manufacturing our car, so they can also wonder how to build some things, not only improving their processes, but improving the new ones. And also, we, as the scientific club, also are learning from the companies. So we are going to the schoolings, to their factories, and so on, which is also really helpful and really broaden your minds. So that's very crucial for the ambitious students.
Yeah, thanks. It's the best way to just match these spheres, the sectors. Yeah, when the science meet the business, and both sides can learn to
Exactly.
to each other. Okay, so we knows a lot about the academic career, so let's stay in the science world. But the next question will be for Jarosław Protasiewicz. Just a bit of private opinion. I've been working for a research institute for over 8 years, so it's really close sphere to also my PhD studies. So I have a question for you. What are the benefits of working in a research institute in Poland? And if you can compare it to the academic sphere and compare to the business side.
Yes, I think there are many different research institutes, and I can give you an example of the National Information Processing Institute. We are a software house, and also for our government, we are also do some research, of course, in artificial intelligence and other IT topics, and also we transfer funds, European funds for research and for equipment. And what are the benefits? In our case, they are obvious. You can have real impact on our society, on economy, and make real change because we are focused on products. So, and in my opinion, there is a huge gap between research and development. And usually research is only a proof of concept. Very often we try to replicate findings from publications, and we can't do. Because scientists publish the most important or the best findings. But we are focused on something real, and if somebody comes to us, work together, and so we focus on real applications, And of course, based on our projects, we publish something, but mainly we focus on products. So, of course, our employees do not teach students. We have only PhD students, few of them. And so, what are the benefits? You can have real impact on our society. We provide granting systems, we provide anti-plagiarism systems, we provide many other tools to improve quality of higher education and science in Poland. And for instance, we say how much money you earn after finishing a particular studies. So this is the most important, because I think economy drives our lives. And this is the most important thing. So, of course, you earn enough money to support your families, because we, as a software house, we focus also on good salaries of our employees.
Okay, so it's not just a research, but also implementation to the market.
Yes,
right?
Implementation for the market. For instance, we signed a contract with PKO BP, the biggest Polish bank, and we will provide them AI solutions. So this is only one example. So our institute is somewhere in the middle between business and between academia, and I think it is a good choice.
Okay, so it's one of this institute I see had no problem with implementation with his products, okay? But because I see that in the research institute, the most difficult is to commercialization with products. So I see OP is okay with it.
Yes, but I have to admit that sometimes it's very difficult to persuade researchers to do something useful. They want to research and publish, and that's all. And sometimes it's very difficult to persuade. Please do something useful for our society to make our life better.
Yes, exactly. That's why I leave Piotr at the end of this round of questions, because he's the only representatives of business, private business, right? So can you tell us what were the biggest challenges that you faced when you decided to change the career path for the private sector?
Oh yeah, of course. So first of all, thanks for having me. It's really great to be here. So just to introduce what we are doing, I started working in the agricultural field when I was approximately 15, 16 years old. I started building a science project where I wanted to change in Mars rover so that it would test agricultural fields. And so basically for a couple of years at the beginning, I was just developing it in my garage, this stereotype of Silicon Valley startup where you're using your hands in the garage to build things and then test them. I iterated, took part in multiple competitions, and the prototype has never worked, but because of this entire process, I gained a lot of experience in the field. I learned a lot, and I actually was able to pursue education abroad, in the UK first, and then in the United States, where I'm studying computer engineering and also business analytics. And basically, it was there when I realized that in order to make an actual impact with the technology that I'm building, I need scale. I need, resources. I need to commercialize it in order to be able to actually, benefit end users, right? Because just science project or research alone is not impacting anything unless it's implemented. And so, I was curious how to do that. This is actually why I applied to a business school as well, where they taught me that the most important distinction between an engineer and a business person is communication. Communication is an absolute key.
It was very difficult for me at first to understand that, because I was talking with investors, I was talking with customers, and I was always asking myself, why don't they care about the things that I care about? Like, why are they not excited about this microcontroller that I'm using here? So basically, I was always constantly thinking about that, and then I realized that you need to change the way you talk with people depending on who your end audience is. So basically, this was a huge challenge to change the way I communicate. And then I realized that as a founder of a tech startup, nowadays this myth of Silicon Valley startup is not existent. People are not working in garage with their own hands. People collaborate. We are building extensive projects where you need to communicate with diverse people, with people from many different backgrounds. With engineers, with investors, with customers. For all of these groups, the communication will be different, and this is probably the biggest challenge I faced, but also the biggest learning I have had in the past years.
Yeah, I'm very, very glad that you mentioned about the meaning of communication. Why? It's of course matching with my job, because I'm a head of communication in Łukasiewicz Research Institute. So I see the lack of communication on almost every step. So that's why, maybe that's why we have so many problems with implementation of our ideas. So yeah, maybe this is the right time to change our thinking about it and just admit how much important it is in our job, in our daily job. Okay, thanks a lot. I have much more questions for you, but I think we have about 20 minutes left only for our panel. So I decided to make an experiment because the previous panel was about the AI, and it was a bit of discussion and opposite opinions about using the AI tools. So I decided to generate a question for Jarosław Protasiewicz, generate with ChatGPT. Okay, so of course I'm not surprised because ChatGPT actually asked about itself. So this is the question. How do you assess the impact of AI on the development of innovation in Poland? And what do you think? Does Poland have the potential to be a leader in AI?
Yes, I think we have potential to be a leader, but also we have many issues. And for example, the hottest topic are large language models. In OP we work on such models. For instance, we developed one model with Politechniki Technical University, and we published it. And also now we are working on Plum model, which will be published on December. And the idea is to build a Polish language model, a kind of ChatGPT, and transfer this knowledge to companies, offer them these models as open source, and they can develop their own solutions. So we build fundamental language models, and then companies can use these models, and it works. But there is one issue. I prepared numbers, but I remember them. Between 2020 and 2023, we had 207 PhD theses about artificial intelligence. In comparison, in this period, we had 19,000 PhD theses. So only 1% of research, PhD research, was about artificial intelligence. So we have a lot of things to do. I think now artificial intelligence is more on conferences and less on real research and development. And so I think there are, on the other hand, we have 100 research teams in Poland working on artificial intelligence based on our data, because we are National Information Processing Institute, so we know almost everything about research and science in Poland. And so I think there is a chance, and I think artificial intelligence, of course, can change our life, influence our life, and of course we have to invest in this in data, into our computational power, and into our minds. So more PhDs.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to double the questions with previous panels, so thank you again for this answer. And a little bit more AI, but in different spheres. So Maciej, do you see potential in using AI to analyze and predict researchers of your daily work? I mean, predict methane emission or other impact on environment.
So I would have probably two remarks. First of all, I think for me, as the amount of data on emissions globally increase exponentially, we need AI to kind of get hold of these. The amount of data is so high that, or the volume of data is so high that we simply cannot process any longer. So we need algorithms to help us process. For example, the satellite data are very rich. They provide high resolution, extremely large files with a lot of data points, and to process that data sets, we would need high-end algorithms, obviously. But I would actually have, since we discussed AI, and I was curious already in the previous panel, because I recently read an article or a paper about the energy or emission cost of AI. And I was wondering, and maybe this is a question to Professor Łukasiewicz, because each single line that we type into the chat, whatever it is called, costs carbon, and we globally want to reduce carbon. So how much development of more AI and more advanced computers, how that would reflect on our emission or carbon goals? If aren't we going into a dead end that we don't do anything by ourselves, but ultimately that leads to a catastrophe or the end of the world, because we will just end up in a climate crisis that will be very severe. And maybe any comments from others?
Maybe you would like to answer?
I can provide exact numbers, of course, but yeah, I agree that artificial intelligence has huge impact on pollution, in my opinion, private opinion, and now much research is about reducing this pollution, I mean, for instance, transfer learning and reusing models, and so yes, we have many benefits from artificial intelligence, but also there are some huge problems, and pollution is one of the biggest one. It is the biggest one, I think.
Okay, so let's not concentrate on AI anymore, and we switch the AI skills to the human one, and some questions for, at first, maybe Paweł. As a leader of PWR racing team, what skills do you and other members of your team develop? Yeah, which skills are really useful in the career, on the path of career?
Yeah, so going through the all ones, the basic. The first one is the communication in the team, because we have about 100 people in the team. It depends on the phase of the season, and is that the beginning, is there a recruitment and so on. But the most crucial one is the communication. because if there's only the people working as the ones, not as the team, there won't be any possibility to build such a complex project. Like also my previous speakers told, the communication is the most crucial one. Also the time management, because in the Formula student season there's so not too much time. We have only 1 year to build a new car from the scratch to the driving ones, and go also to the competitions, which also takes 2 months. So we have about 10 months to make the concept, to make the project, manufacturing, testing, and going to the competitions. So also going to the from the communication to the time management, to also knowing what is really important from all of the members. So that's for the whole team. Now going to me, which is really hard thing, the managing of the 100 people. That's it needs the structure, because we have the board, then we have the leaders, and then we have all team members. So it has to be as simple as possible, but broad enough to be effective. And so going to the technical guys, we have the basic is to finish the project. So we need the technical guys, which really knows what they are doing in the specialized topics, because they are working in really high-tech projects, working with the composites, working with the artificial intelligence, working with the autonomous systems, because this car is driving with the driver and also without one. There are many things that all of the people has to broaden and really be the specialists.
Okay, so it's a scientific circle, but it sounds like a startup. It sounds like a real company.
Yeah, a bit like a startup, a bit like the company, which has to keep the deadlines and finish the project.
Okay, so maybe let's switch to Piotr, and maybe you could give some advice for students, maybe young researchers or entrepreneurs, how to create a startup which is effective.
Yeah, sure. So basically one thing that I always try to say to people that start developing startups, I'm also at the very early stage. I mean, we've raised some money, we develop products, we have customers, but still very early. But when I talk with, high school students or maybe university students who want to get into entrepreneurship, usually they are challenged by the idea that they don't know what to tackle, what problem to begin with. They are trying to find the idea, the most important thing that will change the world, and then they are worried about the execution part. How am I going to do that? Do I have enough skill? Do I have enough experience? Right. So I always tell them, it's never about preemptively preparing for entrepreneurship. You cannot prepare for entrepreneurship. You have to start doing this. You have to iteratively, expand your knowledge in the field. And also, you cannot figure out a great idea that will change the world without getting, your hands dirty. You need to start working. You need to start talking with customers. You need to start developing the product and failing all the time in order to actually develop it. So instead of brainstorming 100 possible ideas and worrying which is the best, none of them are best. they are probably bad, but start doing any one of them, get deep into the field, develop it, and you'll be surprised how far you get. We call that pivot. As a startup, you're doing pivots all the time. You're changing the approach. You have some North Star that you're trying to follow, of course, but depending on you need to be open. You need to talk with customers, with investors, with your stakeholders, and basically, depending on what they tell you, you need to always constantly adjust. And this is why it's so fun because it's never static, right? It's never like I prepare it, now I know, so I will do. It's a completely different process. It's I think I know, then I develop it, or I didn't know anything, and then you start building up the knowledge. So yeah, I would just say don't stress about starting, just start it, and then everything is going to come together.
Yeah, okay, there's no one pattern for success on the market. Yeah, it's true. And I wanted to actually to end with it, but there's a quotation from a TV program, Stop Dreaming, yeah, stop believing, and go for it. Yeah, this is the clue. Okay, and Szymon, the last question I think for you, because the time is out. What experience have you gained through these many years of involvement in student organizations? So, can you share with us your experience?
I would like to speak some more generals about the experience gained by students in students' organizations, because some of them were already mentioned, but when you ask the graduates, the active students, how they are doing, so they are doing great on the labor market, and they easily find a job, but they have a few characteristics, because every student which is involved in students' organization has a plus at the beginning, because the student shows that he's active, he wants to learn, and he wants to do something more than the other students, so that's important. And the abilities, the experiences which students gain are different on what type of student organization they are involved. And even in one organization, they are gaining different experiences of depending on what they do. So, for example, in Paweł's team. But generally speaking, in scientific circles, they also learn the hard technical skills like mechanics, electronics, IT, and that's really important. And of course, this helps them on the labor market, because they have hard things in their CV that they did something and that other students didn't. If we say about students that are, for example, in the students' union, their main abilities are in soft skills, and this is also very important. But for them, it's not that helpful for finding a job. It helps, but not as much. Still, the basic must be the knowledge from the studies. But soft skills they get are really helpful to advance in positions in the industries. So what we all have in common as a students working in students' organization is some ability to adapt to changes, and it's also very important when we say today about how the world is changing so fast. The common thing for the students is also that they get the job offers from companies, from people they cooperated with during their studies. So they are some kind of verified person that can work in the industry. So yeah, I think the experience that we get is very helpful in the labor market.
Okay, thank you. I asked at the beginning Olga to open the discussion, so I ask you for the closing one. As we see on our representatives on this stage, there's only one woman, because I'm not counting myself. Okay, it's Olga. So it'll be about gender balance. what's your observation about the gender balance in the science community? What challenges or opportunities do you see in the efforts to increase women's participation in this sphere? So please share with us.
Now I'm looking on the panel. Yes, I'm the only woman. But I think it's improving, yes. There are politics in Europe, worldwide, that there's more and more women in science, for example. Science National Center now performs some improvements. For example, there are breaks connected with maternity leave. Several years ago, it was something like this doesn't exist, but now it is, so it's really nice. In a lot of scholarship, now the maternity leave is also taken into the account. But also in some discipline, it's changing more or less. For example, in my field, I'm a vet, so 20 years ago, it was only men there. Now 80% it's women. But I noticed that sometimes the problems is in ourselves. Because a lot of women, we are not believing in ourselves. That, like you have already told us, that you need to do it, not think, not be afraid about doing, just do it, yes? So a lot of very great scientists, women scientists, they think that they are worse. They are not believing in themselves. They don't want to take a risk, because to be a leader, it's a high risk, yes? You have people, you need to think about your co-workers, yes? So sometimes it's too much. But other thing about equality, we noticed connected with young scientists. Now, thanks to one colleague from our council, we started to perform some research. And there are some universities, industries, scientific industries, which don't have equality for young people. Maybe young is not a good word. Inexperienced people, yes? We have limited access to funding sometimes, to resources, to promotions. So maybe rather than thinking about the women-men things, we should start about young one. So this is think about now we are working.
But do you think it's still a problem? Like it was a couple years ago?
With young one?
Yeah, with problems with young people at the beginning of the career and young women also. Is it better? Is it getting better with last years?
It's getting better and better, but still it's not enough. We hear a lot of voices from different parts of Poland, and sometimes it is complicated.
Okay, maybe someone from the audience wants to refer to this topic. Yeah.
Thank you so much for raising this question, because I think it's important. And I think it's important because it depends on the country. And from country to country it's very different. I've been working in Portugal, in Spain, in Poland, in Ukraine, because I'm Ukrainian, and recently I went to Indonesia. And honestly, I am solo researcher, like I have my project now, so I went there. And the start was that, like, where is your mister? Like, I don't want to talk with you because you need to have your mister here. Where is your husband? And so I think that we still are on the way, but it's different from country to country. And here in I'm from Pacific. I just finished my Pacific project here, and here I was really welcomed. And I am in the field where we have lots of men. It's fortifications, analysis of fortifications. And my professor, like when we talked like just the colleagues. And it was not difference between the ages, although he is older than me. And it was not difference between man and woman. And I think it's important to have such a great environment, because I really miss it now when I travel a lot and I have encountered different attitudes to me and different, like I feel that I'm a woman, I cannot do research here, and it pains. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So we move a difficult topic, I think, but
I comment. This year I also was in Indonesia, and we have opposite flag and opposite gender balance as well.
yes. So we see we have a lot to do with equality, not only here in Poland. So maybe it's going to be a topic for the next discussion, because we have to end now. So thank you again for your attendance, for attention of our audience. As a quick summary for this panel, I just want to just make questions again. Is it possible to avoid disappointments on these career paths? Yeah. Perhaps so. So I answer perhaps so, but it requires a lot of work, a lot of planning. I think building the networks of connections. So we have to do it by ourselves also, but we can't force support of our country and institutes or companies. So thank you again, and see you next year, next conference.